Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your testimony today, Senator, and I want to thank you for your tireless advocacy on the part of the ratepayers. As everyone on this committee knows, that's a song I sing very often, so I really appreciate your efforts. I do have a couple of questions for you, however. Can you clarify your position on whether CMEC should continue to invest in projects and contract for services anymore? I'm looking at Section 7, lines 444 through 447.
You looking at?
444, Section 7, lines 444 through 447.
Yes, this speaks to the enabling statute. The enabling statute was to allow the 7 most distressed communities to come together to develop a purchase power agreement so they could get the best price on the market for energy. And this initially, it was supposed to go through the cooperative at a no cost or at cost to the municipal electric company and to the consumer. Since that time, CMAC has expanded its purview of what businesses that they are or are not in. And therefore, I believe that we should think about bringing them back to their statutory purpose and enabling them to just purchase power, because that's what they were originally designed to do. We have seen what happens when they get into other areas where they can generate margin, as they call it, which is not what they are supposed to be doing.
So basically, you want them to get back in their original lane.
I would like them to get back in their lane, exactly.
Okay, all right, thank you. There's a bill that relates to electric bill, a portion of the bill that relates to electric bill formats. Would this also apply to CMEC?
Well, in some of the cases, some of the larger companies that I have spoken to directly, CMAC generates the bill for the utility company. I'm not sure if that's true for all businesses, but is some of the businesses that I've spoken to directly. And CMAC charges a fee for that. One of the companies that I had spoken to in detail is a very large pharmaceutical company, and they were being originally charged $5,000 a month for CMAC to create this bill, which looked like an Excel spreadsheet. They were doing that on behalf of a utility company, and there's items or line items on that bill that are not descriptive. They may say fixed line cost. I'm just using that as an example. But when the company asks the utility for the backup behind it, what they're told, and this is coming directly from this company directly to me, is that they will say, we don't have to give it to you. It's trade secret. It's confidential. I'm not giving it to you. So I think it's important if a customer is asking for the detail behind a line item, that whether it's a public utility or a municipal utility, there should be a requirement that they need to provide the backup data for the charge associated with that. And that's what this is trying to do, saying if a customer asks for the line item detail, that the municipal electric company needs to provide the backup data just like they would an equivalent to a regulated utility.
Okay, and one final question. Section 6 makes CMEC subject to review by the state auditors, and they have to submit a report quarterly to the DRS. Do you feel PURA is a more appropriate? I'm trying to follow the rationale behind having these 2 other entities as opposed to PURA regulating and monitoring CMEC.
Absolutely. I would love for PURA to be able to oversee this, but PURA has not been really interested in pursuing that, so this was the best alternative that I could come up with. As far as the DRS report, the reason that I asked for that was because CMAC holds, or in the past, they have held money in separate accounts for utility companies. I was told by Drew Rankin himself that any account a municipal electric company would like to create, he's fine with that. That's the electric company's business, not CMAC. So if they wanted to create a rate stabilization account, everyone has one. If they wanted an economic development account, he would create it. I facetiously said, if they wanted a TRIP account, would you create that? And he said, anything they want. So when we're looking at ECS funding, for example, for all we know, we could have a local electric utility company owned by a town or a city that has millions of dollars sitting in one of these accounts, and we would have no way of knowing that it's there. So that's why if we require that there is a report sent to the DRS, we would know how much money is in each one of those accounts. And that is my rationale behind that. That money, in my opinion, should all be in rate stabilization, because that money is for the ratepayer, and that money is originally designed to stabilize the rate so that the energy costs stay low for the members that are in that utility company's jurisdiction. And if you look to the Massachusetts version, they are not allowed to keep money in those accounts. They have to return it to the ratepayers. So I think that's important, so we know what's there.
You make some very good points, and I will say, although Pura may be your preferred entity to monitor this, just looking at some of the other reports that the state auditors have done, I have been very impressed by what they uncover. Your mention of gift cards, I know hearing when they reported on the community college system, student parking fines are supposed to be dedicated to student scholarships, and there were community colleges that were using them to buy Amazon gift cards for their employees as part of a reward system. So I think, as I say, although Pura might be your preferred entity, I think the state auditors would certainly do a good job. So again, thank you for your testimony today. Thank you for answering my questions, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for the second time. Just re-looking at section 7, lines 444 through 447, which would involve projects that they undertake. Looking at the public hearing testimony and then refreshing my memory, I see there's been testimony submitted by Bacchus Hospital in opposition because CMAQ helped them build a 10 megawatt microgrid in 2015. And I was actually at the ribbon cutting for the fuel cell installation at the subbase, which was done in conjunction with the DOD and the state of Connecticut. If this went ahead, would this section not preclude them from entering into those agreements? Would you want an additional layer of scrutiny? Because those do seem to be worthwhile endeavors for me, both in terms of helping those, particularly a hospital, provide critical backup services, and for the subbase, again, backup for them and the nearby community in the case of a power failure. So I'd love your insight on that, because I see your point that they shouldn't be able to do things that are out of their lane, but this seems to me to be in their lane and also promoting the interests of the customer. So I'd love to hear your comments.
If this is in their lane and it has to do with the delivery of power, then it should be acceptable. There's no reason that in certain areas like that, or obviously what's going on at the Navy base, couldn't come and get approval to pursue going forward. But we have to be very careful that they stay in their lane.
Right. So you would prefer that there be some sort of formal approval process for any new projects going forward? I'm just curious as to how this would play out.
I think that it's important. Obviously, they have to go outside of their territory to purchase power. That's clear. But if they're going to be getting into, other areas that are not under their statutory enabling, language, which was really just to purchase power and deliver it to the municipalities at the lowest cost, then they've got to come for approval. If we don't have some type of control and oversight, I'll put it that way, over this organization, we can see what happens. I mean, we saw it with the trips. We're seeing it with these expenditures that are outrageous. So we have to bring them in under some kind of oversight or governance. And should it be that maybe this committee decides that we should have 2 governor appointees on there along with a ratepayer? That's just a suggestion. Those things could come for approval and be approved before they go forward.
Obviously, that might be an area in which Pura oversight, because the auditors and DRS are ex post facto, as it were. So, all right, thank you very much for your answer, and thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chair.